Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Oh, well, hello, and welcome to The Lock Shop. It is 11:02 in Edmonton. It is 12:02 in Winnipeg. It's 1302 in Toronto, and then somewhere it's 30 minutes later in Newfoundland. So thank you very much for joining us on The Lock Shop today. You can text us anytime, 780-218-9999. Fun hangout there. That was good. A lot of money raised for that charity that we're going to be supporting with that hockey game tomorrow. And like we said, the whichever coach, whether it's Coach Pete or Pizza Boy, whoever coaches the team to a victory in the charity game tomorrow gets to be the next head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. So that's exciting as well. If you're watching over on the Nasty Chat, hammer the thumbs up for us. Matt over there says, hey, Dusty and Hustler, big game tonight. The Oilers also play. It is true. We had Jamie Thomas on today to set up the Jets and the Stars tonight. It's a big game. We're going to get to it. Huss, what's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Yeah, man. Big game feel here in the Peg tonight. Dallas coming in, Mikko Rantanen. They're taking a run at first place in the Central Division. And we've sort of been looking ahead to this game for a few weeks. But, you know, with everything that happened at the trade deadline, there is a heightened sense of anticipation around here for this one. I mean, the Jets took care of business against the Rangers on Tuesday to get 8 points up, but Dallas still does have 2 games in hand. So, I mean, a regulation win for Winnipeg would put them 10 up right now, and I think would probably just about wrap up the Central Division. But on the other side of things, if Dallas were to win in regulation, you're 6 up, 2 games in hand, another head-to-head matchup. So the stakes are high right now, and we know how important first place in the Central Division is because, of course, that team will avoid one of Colorado or Dallas in the first round, and if the Jets can take it down, it'll be Colorado and Dallas going head-to-head in the first round in all likelihood. So, yeah, I cannot wait for this one tonight. How was the morning show today? I caught great night of hockey last night.
It was a good night of hockey.
I watched most of the games. I did watch the Oilers, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think we're all
sound like most of us, Huss.
Yeah, we're all
watch the Oilers. I don't know.
Wanting a little bit more. I saw Speck did a tweet that said Chris Knobloch has gone where every Oiler coach has gone before, playing 97 and 29 all game and having everyone else just around watching. I imagine the folks might be a little restless. How was the text line today?
Oh, it was exactly what you would expect it to be. It was like they didn't play awful, but they fall behind by 1, and the coach just goes immediately to Draisaitl and McDavid together. And Draisaitl and McDavid together haven't been that great this year. Is it their best line still? Of course, it's their best line still. It's 2 of the best players in the world, but it just hasn't been that good so far this season. So they go to that. And then they're like, but nobody else is helping. It's like, well, it's because you play those guys for 25, 26 minutes a night. Everybody else is just sitting around watching. Nobody gets extra time on the power play except those 5 guys. They play every single power play basically the entire time. Like I'm not sure how much opportunity there is for other guys to get involved. And, you know, they need to produce better than they have produced. But, I mean, the majority of the team played less than 13 minutes last night. And all of the ice time was on the big boys. Like, that's just, I joked today with Jamie Thomas when we had him on. I said, I had 2 funny jokes with him. I had one, I said, which team fears the Oilers more, the Jets or the Stars? I thought that was a funny joke. And then, what was the other? Oh, yeah, I asked him, so with the Jets being pretty good, Scott O'Neill must mix up the lines every single game, right? And he's like, ha, 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 it's kind of funny. But, like, that's the problem here. It's like they play again tonight. And from what it sounded like, Knobloch, when he said last night, he talked about McDavid and Draisaitl, so they'll probably play those guys together. And Henrique, Arvidsson, and Skinner actually had a chance or two, so he loved them. So maybe they'll be together again. It's just, I can't figure them out, man. I can't figure this group out. So, and there was some, people are talking. The coach, they're talking front office, which I just don't see that happening. If they go out in the first round to the Kings, and right now they'd have to go on the road against the best home team in the National Hockey League in Los Angeles. Could they still beat them? They could still beat them. But, if there's a game 7, it's in Los Angeles, and the team's lost like 3 regulation games there all year, it's not ideal. But if they go out in the first round, I'm not sure there isn't a significant change of some sort here again. It's wild.
No, it's, we were looking at what the playoffs would look like today if it was 1 versus 8.
Oh, okay.
And 2 versus 7. And I guess, so it would be Winnipeg versus Calgary. Edmonton in the 7th spot right now, like behind the Minnesota Wild. I looked last night to see
where they were too. They're behind Minnesota.
So it's funny. Dallas is the number 2 team, but I think they would give the other division winner the 2nd seed. So it would be Vegas, Edmonton. But basically, you're looking at either Vegas or Dallas in that first round. And then the other team would play Minnesota. And then we'd have Colorado and LA. How have they done against LA this year?
Good question. Let me see if I can bring that up here.
I don't know how they've done against them in the playoffs.
Yeah, they've beat them 3 years in the playoffs, but let me get the head-to-head here. Let's see.
Well, you get that just for people that are wondering if it was 1-8 in the other conference, we'd have Washington, Columbus. Who would have had that to begin the season? We would have Florida and Ottawa, Kachuk versus Kachuk. Sign me up for that. Hurricanes, Devils, and Leafs, Lightning. And the funny thing about that is that could still be the matchups if they actually go through.
I guess you're right. They could.
Tampa would be playing Tampa would be playing Toronto, and New Jersey would be playing the Carolina Hurricanes. So again, it's just a matter of assuming that Washington and Florida win their divisions, whether they're playing Ottawa or Columbus. Although the Rangers, with their win last night over Minnesota, have tied Columbus at 70 points. Columbus has lost 2 in a row. They do have 1 game in hand. How about this little run for the Sens, though, with that win last night? 5 in a row, and they've now given themselves a little bit of a cushion. 5 points in between the chasing Blue Jackets, Rangers, Habs, and they needed that big time. How good would Brady versus Matthew be in the first round of the playoffs?
I wonder how greasy those 2 buggers would get in that series.
Would they fight each other?
They would. Yeah, they would. Yeah, I think they would. I think the Oilers are 1-0-1 against the Kings. Big Uke says 1-1-1. I think they're 1-0-1. Anyway, Los Angeles got a nice win for us last night.
Partner parlay.
3-0. Cast a partner parlay. Why not?
That was why I was watching that Rangers Minnesota game. It was funny. We had so the Rangers were here on Tuesday, and Rempe got a goaltender interference penalty on Hellebuck.
I saw that penalty, yeah.
And listen, as a Jets guy, I thought that was a great call. Ranger fans not pleased with it, but the penalty that Rempe took last night,
the interference,
yeah, like he basically steps onto the ice, he takes two strides, a guy skates right into him, falls, and he gets an interference penalty. I totally understood the anger of Ranger fans, and of course Minnesota scores on the power play, and that one went the distance. But the Rangers got their win. We got the win that we needed, and then it was a matter of the Kings taking care of business at home, which they did quite comfortably. So it was nice. Did not get the play of the day. I rode with the Leafs again last night. They, the special teams seemed to be the difference in that game. I still do like. Did you see Domi? Domi throw him with Nate Schmidt.
I know. I saw you guys texting about it, but I didn't see it myself.
Yeah, it was. He was throwing bombs. He's definitely Ty Domi's kid. I would say that. And he actually scored a really nice goal earlier in the third period to get them back into it, down 1 right now. But that's tough for the Leafs, man. I know Jake's probably in the chat. Like, this is a team that, much like Winnipeg, although Winnipeg is in a much better situation when it comes to winning their division. Like, I look at that Atlantic division just like I look at the Central. You've got 3 really good teams, and one of them is going to be out in the first round, and you want to avoid that 2-3 matchup. Now, the Leafs do have a game in hand on Florida, but they could have been tied today if they had won in regulation. It went the other way, so they're playing a little catch-up right now. A Toronto-Tampa Bay first-round series, though, would be awesome. Both of those teams were aggressive at the deadline. Both of them made big ads. That would be the Eastern Conference's version of the Colorado-Dallas series if that happens here in the Central.
Matthew Kachuk has slid into the Lock Shop chat today and says, I would never fight Brady on the ice. We made the deal long ago to never fight on hallowed ground. So there you go. That's good.
Well, listen, if I'm Matthew, I wouldn't want to fight Brady either, because I think Brady would kick your ass, Matt.
Penner's Pancakes did confirm the 1-0-1 for the Oilers and Kings, and then they play twice in April 5th and April 14th. So those are 2 huge games between the Oilers and Kings coming up next month. Huss, I know we'll get into the hockey today, but let's slide over to the players here. Because this leaderboard, I mean, I can't believe that.
I can't even look at it right now. Two of my guys, and I always get Min-Woo Lee and Akshay.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm pretty sure every single Lock Shop this year, P. Greggy has mentioned Akshay Bhatia, but he didn't mention him this week. Min-Woo Lee goes 6 under today. He's 11 under. Bhatia's 6 under. He's 11 under. He's still got a couple holes left. Rory's 5 under today. He's right there at 10 under. Colin Morikawa, who we were on, he went 6 under today to get to 8 under. Tommy Fleetwood, who Patty was on, 6 under to get to 7 under. Ooh. Lucas Glover, who was the leader yesterday, he hasn't teed off yet. And my man, Sepp Straka, has yet to tee off as well. And he was at 2 under yesterday. So that whole group from earlier in the day yesterday has not yet taken off. But Min-Woo Lee and Akshay Bhatia, buddy, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, we got to get to this right off the top.
Yeah, the chef is cooking. Min-Woo is playing amazing. And Bhatia, listen, I mean, I've been riding with Bhatia for a long time, ever since maybe the craziest back 9 for a win last year. What was it? Denny McCarthy birdied like 8 straight holes or whatever, and made up that 9, and then actually won in the playoff. But he's just been terrible the last two tournaments. Like, it just seemed like his game, he was looking more like Victor Hovland right now than Rory McIlroy, and yet he is playing some incredible golf right now. Yeah, he's got to play 7, 8, 9 right now to finish up his round. He started on the back 9 and went 4 under par, bogeyed the first hole, and then it's put 3 more bogeys in. He's got, of course, the par 5 on the 9th still to come right now. So we could be talking about our guy Akshay with his size 28 waist pants in first place. It's just every time I watch that guy hit the ball, it's a miracle of science that a guy that thin and slight can mash the ball the way that he does. It's truly good. Although looks like Min-Woo just dropped a couple holes.
Did he?
Yeah, I'm just looking on the TV right now. They have him at -9. Or maybe they're showing some highlights.
Must be highlights, because he's done for the day. He's already in at 67 and 66.
Okay. Yeah. So this was just some highlights earlier on of what's going on. Yeah, he did bogey his last hole, actually. He got to 12, but bogey that 9th hole with a 6.
Scotty Scheffler, -2 today. He's -5 for the tourney, right next to Pendy, the Canadian. So Scheffler's at 5 under. Let's see what happens over his last hole, I guess. we talked about it, the live betting of, when do you get on Scotty? He could be about 6 down heading into the weekend. Is this where you get in on him, or is it just not this week?
No, this is totally. I mean,
this is the time, right? Like,
listen, if you think that he's gonna be right there on Sunday afternoon, I'm pretty confident we'll get a much better number than the plus 550, which was even good considering where he started being laid out for this. And again, we'll see what happens in the afternoon. I mean, there's still the opportunity. Like right now, he's tied for 16th.
Yeah.
By the time the afternoon round plays out, I mean, he could be 25th. I mean, we'll see how many guys are able to go low and pass him. Like the guys this afternoon, most of my guys are playing this aft. Like Ludwig Oberg, Lowry, Wyndham Clark, all these guys need to step up and basically do what a lot of these other guys have done, and that's shoot a 6 under, shoot a 7 under today to get back into the mix. I still am filled with regret that I didn't bet Rory. And again, you can't bet everyone.
No.
And I wasn't even considering betting Rory at plus 750. But the fact that he went all the way to 14-1 when we were doing the show on Wednesday, if you told me at the beginning of the week that we could get Rory at 14-1, that would have been an auto bet. I think the problem was that we were a little too exposed with some other players thinking that Rory was going to stay in and around that 7 or 8 number. How about Ricky Fowler too? Ricky's at, I got Ricky and Billy Ho on one of my DraftKings lineups, and they are both looking very, very good tonight. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this afternoon round and see if some of the other guys that we're in can kind of get into the mix. But the Chef, Minwoo Lee, and Akshay are looking very good on top of the leaderboard at 11 under par. And look, like with these perfect conditions, it really does seem like there are some low scores out there. So I'm hoping a few of the other guys that we've tabbed will make a big move this afternoon and give us something to cheer about and sweat over coming up on the final 36 holes at TPC Sawgrass.
All right, let's slide back over to the National Hockey League. Of course, you can text us. You can hammer us over in the Nasty Chat as well. Bronco Nick says, guys, he was plus 130 yesterday to go straight up with Scotty. Who's he talking about there? I put a few
Rory.
Rory. Yeah. Put a few units on him. Got the 30% boost he said there.
Nice.
Right. Yeah, that worked out okay for you. All right, let's get into the National Hockey League tonight. Let me get your starting goalies for you. The Edmonton Oilers back in action. The Winnipeg Jets in action. Huss, I've got the most unique. This is the first time. I'll give you this. I don't know if you've had a chance yet. Go check out the EST parlay today. I want to see your reaction as you look at the EST parlay today.
All right. Exclusives.
Yeah.
EST. Arvidsson, Podkolzin, Henrique, Connor Brown, and Kapanen all not to record a point. This is the EST fade parlay.
We've got a pretty good number on it. It's plus 300.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Any of those guys do anything last night?
None of those guys has done anything for months. So it's about time that this city cashes in on this. So yes, to not record a point tonight, Kapanen, Henrique, Arvidsson. Who else do I have in there?
Kapanen, Arvidsson, Henrique, Podkolzin, and Connor Brown.
There we go. So, I mean, if you think about it, if Knobloch loads up McDavid and Draisaitl for this game, they're going to play 25, 26 minutes. Those other guys, I mean, you're going to have to split the rest of those minutes 34 minutes between the rest of the guys. Then none of them are going to be playing with McDavid or Draisaitl, I would think. And
How did Skinner not make his way into that parlay?
Well, because Skinner actually produces a little bit. So I was just like, we'll leave Skinner off. He has, what was the stat before the last game or before 2 games ago? Since January 1st, Jeff Skinner had 5 goals. All those other guys that I listed there, Podkolzin, Henrique, maybe it wasn't Henrique, Podkolzin, Brown, Matthias Janmark, Kasperi Kapanen. Those 4 guys, had combined for 5 goals since January 1st. So that's why Skinner didn't get on the fade parlay, but pretty decent schedule for a Friday night. We do have 6 games, so let's give you the goalies here tonight. Mrazek, likely for the Detroit Red Wings. I believe that would be back-to-back starts for him. Not back-to-back nights, but back-to-back starts. Freddie Anderson, unconfirmed right now. Calvin Pickard will get the start for the Oilers. Sorokin will go for the New York Islanders. We looked at the Islanders a bit today. Don't mind their blue line, and they'll have Sorokin in behind him, so it's not going to come easy for the Oil tonight. The Stars and the Jets, of course, it's Ottinger and it's Helly. Dustin Wolf will go for the Calgary Flames against the Colorado Avalanche. Mackenzie Blackwood listed as unconfirmed right now. Utah and Seattle, Vejmelka and Joey Decord unconfirmed, and then in Nashville and Anaheim, Dostal and UC Saros unconfirmed. So 6 on the Friday slate here, Huss. What jumps off the page the most for you as we try to make it back-to-back partner parlays here?
Well, obviously, I'm staring down this Dallas-Winnipeg game. Interesting that we've got Winnipeg at -133, Dallas at +113. I'll just hit this, but we probably won't put this in the parlay. Important to note, Miro Heiskanen, of course, is still out and will probably be out for the rest of the regular season. Rupi Hintz is out, and that's a big, big blow for Dallas. I mean, he basically is their top center, a real offensive catalyst for them. I think this number probably is a little more like -115, -120 for Winnipeg if he's playing. Jets have been really good at home. And lots of rest for these teams. We mentioned Dallas. Dallas last played Sunday night. So they presumably went back to Dallas, practiced for a few days, and then came up for the game tonight. And of course, Winnipeg's been at home all week, playing on Tuesday, and then with a couple days of practice before this big one tonight. It does have a big, big game feel. As far as the other games, listen, it's pretty hard to have much confidence in what Detroit's doing right now. I mean, they have been they are just so streaky. I'm going to pull this up. So they beat the Sabres 7-3 in their last game. Before that, they'd lost 6 in a row. 1-2, lost 2, and then before that had won 7 in a row. So I don't know whether that new coach bump of Todd McClellan is just completely worn off, or maybe they're just not that good and they're able to beat Buffalo, but that's it. Regardless, I don't like their chances on the road in Carolina tonight. The Carolina number, though, pretty tough at -263, and they play such close games. Like, I would even consider maybe Carolina in reg, but again, it's -154. That'll be a team that, Detroit will be playing. If they can get to overtime, great, and then maybe win it in OT, they'll be fine. So I don't know. That might just be a stay away for tonight. I mean, listen, the way the Oilers are playing, I know we don't want to throw the Islanders on this parlay, but to be perfectly frank, the way the Oilers are playing right now, knowing that they played last night, I believe this is their 3rd game in 4 nights against an Islander team that, I know they traded Brock Nelson, but you got to earn every inch of space against the Islanders. And just the way the Oilers are playing right now. Yeah,
it's not their 3rd and 4 because they had 2 days off prior to yesterday. So it would just be like a 3rd and 5. So it's not.
Okay.
But I mean, the way the Oilers are playing, they're on the road. It's a back-to-back. The value on the Islanders here at +116 isn't. I mean, it's probably one of the better values on the board tonight, to be honest with you. It really is.
I mean, I'm looking around at underdogs that I would consider, and I'm sure there'll be some people that'll look at Dallas and go, hey, that's a really, really good team, huge game. They need it a lot more than Winnipeg does. Maybe there. The Flames, listen, the Flames it's amazing that they are where they are. The problem is they can't score. Now, Dustin Wolf can be incredible and can keep them in that game. I just don't think they have the firepower to beat teams like Colorado right now. I mean, I stared at that plus 182 for a little while this morning when it came up, thinking, okay, can Calgary find a way to win this game?
I think I saw something like Calgary has scored. This came in on the lock shop yesterday because I was at home yesterday, so I saw it on my iPad, I think. Calgary has scored, and I didn't confirm this, but I'm pretty sure I saw it from one of our nasties yesterday. Calgary has scored more than 3 goals just 8 times this season. And 4 of them were like in the first month of the year or something. Like, they're going to have to somehow win that game 3-2, 3-1, 2-1 type of thing.
Well, kind of like, let's see how far we have to go back to see when they scored 4 goals. So, they scored 6 against the Flyers.
Yeah, that wasn't that long ago, right?
Yeah, like 4 games ago.
Yeah.
But other than that, 1-0-0-1, 3-3, 2-2-3, 3-1. They put 4 up against the Ducks. And then did have a couple back-to-back games against the Wild and Sabres where they put up 5. But, man, there's a lot of 1s and 0s and 2s in there. And then, I mean, man, Colorado, like with their new juiced-up lineup, they did lose 2-1 to the Wild, who are notoriously very, very tough to score against. They sleptwalked through 2 periods against the Blackhawks and put up 3 in that 3-0 win earlier this week. But before that, put up 7 on the Leafs, put up 7 on the Sharks, 4 on the Penguins, 5 on the Wild, 5 on the Devils. They with McKinnon and Makar going the way they are right now, they are tough to stop. What's the total on that game?
It's 5.5.
5.5 minus 125 to the over. It's funny betting overs in Calgary games. I don't think has really paid, but like we're gonna really see the rookie's gonna. I mean, maybe we shouldn't be surprised if he continues to play well. I mean, I think they actually do have a real gem in that Dustin Wolf.
He's a good goalie, man. Yep.
I mean, really, if you go through the stats in the Western Conference right now, it's Hellebuck, it's Ottinger, and it's Wolf. And I mean, Wolf is right there with Ottinger right now. There's a bit of a gap, obviously, before where Hellebuck is. But anyways, Calgary's tough to take. Maybe we can look at that total. It's funny. The total in the Jets Stars game is another one to think about, at 5.5 with that great goaltending matchup and 2 teams that play really good defense, focus in on that. I truly expect this is going to be a really, really tight game here.
Yeah. And remember, we are parlaying it. So if we want to take it up to 6.5, it puts it in that minus 169 range, which we can swallow on a parlay if we need to. Just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, 169 on that total. Interesting. And then, I think we can take a little run at these final 2 games. The Ducks actually, we thought that they might be in the mix there for a little bit. And then they've lost 4 of their last 5 to sort of fall out of it. But then there's Nashville. And Nashville is in next year territory. They have won 4 games in a row, although look at the teams that they've beaten. Bruins, Kraken, Blackhawks, Sharks.
Yeah, but the Ducks kind of falls into the Ducks are on par with those teams, though, right?
Well, I don't know. I'll say that I think that they're better than that. Here's what I'm thinking. I do worry about, a team that finally has won a few games with an off day in California, maybe not, and knowing that they're not going to the playoffs, maybe not being particularly ready to go tonight.
I think it's I think it's actually 2 days off in California, 12th and 13th.
A lot of golfing, some cocktails, not thinking about the game. I don't know. Like, as I said, you are right. They have been getting it done against pretty weak teams. But when I look at Anaheim, they beat the Oilers and then lost to the Canucks and Blues. They beat the Islanders, lost to the Capitals and Utah HC. Like, they're still playing right out. Anyways, I would not be adverse to throwing the Ducks on.
Plus 130.
But I don't really have a real strong lean on either side. And then, of course, we've got this last game, Utah and the Kraken. And Utah right now desperately needs these wins. They beat the Ducks, but their last two games, I mean, a loss to Toronto, that was a shootout game. The loss to the Blackhawks, the one really hurt, leaving points on the table against Chicago. Beat the Rangers before that, lost to the Devils, and then wins against the Wild, Blackhawks, and the Canucks. Vejmelka's their number one guy in the net tonight. And, I mean, Seattle's sort of a shell of what they were, considering all the guys that they traded. They traded Tanev, who's a big energy guy, but, man, Bjorkstrand and Yanni Gourde going, I think, has put Seattle firmly in next year territory. So
you don't need to convince me on Utah, buddy. I mean, I'm with you on Utah tonight.
Well, let's start there with Utah. What I mean, this is a tough one outside of our those two games that we've got. What are we?
Well, I mean, yeah. What do you like? I mean, I like the Ducks at home too at plus 131. I don't mind moving that Jet Stars line to 6.5 and taking the under at minus 169. We did say the Islanders are the best value possibly on the board with the way that the Oilers have been playing. Draisaitl and McDavid both played 25 minutes in last night's game, and it's a team that can't get out of their way right now. They don't go to hard spots. The Islanders will have a great goaltender going tonight with a pretty decent blue line in front of them. I mean, I got time there. What was your take on that Carolina-Detroit game?
Well, I mean, I like Carolina to win, but I mean, I don't really even trust the regulation number for this, because I could see that being a really tight game. Listen, if you told me 2 weeks ago that we'd be sitting here on a Friday talking about being able to get the Oilers at minus 136 against the Islanders who've traded Brock Nelson,
Don't put me in this spot. Don't put me in this spot.
Like, surely they're going to win one of these games.
I can't possibly be the last line of defense on getting a struggling Oilers team into a parlay. Like, I don't want that heat. I don't want to be the guy who ruins this thing. Mind you, you're the one that's kind of pushing for it a little bit more than me. But they've only got 5 wins in their last 15 games, Huss. Like, the Oilers are in this weird... It's been this season that for 2 months, just over 2 months, they had the best record in the league. And the rest of the season, they haven't even played well enough to be a playoff team. Like, it doesn't... And right now, they're in that... I mean, that's... I don't think I could approve it. I don't think I can allow that to happen on the parlay.
It's tough to co-sign that. I mean, it's more the number, the players. We know that they're way better than they are, and you have to think that this is going to change. And I mean, the other thing is, if you're betting Edmonton, the one thing you know is that there's 2 players that can completely take over and change a game on their own. So if we like the Ducks and we like the Kraken, we're already at plus 288. What about taking the Calgary Avalanche game to 6.5 and taking the under?
Covers us for a 4-2 or a 4-1 Colorado dub. If Calgary wins it, you know it's going to be under that total.
Even 5-1. I mean,
yeah, that's minus 156, which would take us to plus 537. I'm okay with that. I do like the moving of the 5.5 up to a 6.5 on either of those 2 games. If you're more comfortable with Colorado and Calgary than Dallas and Winnipeg, then I'm okay with it.
The Dallas. Well, I mean, you know what, to be honest, I mean, that under, when these teams played earlier this year, it was 4-1 Winnipeg, and then it was 3-1 in Dallas. So they've gone under both of those numbers. I mean, you know what, if you prefer the Winnipeg-Dallas game for the under 6.5, I'm fine with that as well. I mean, I think this is going to be...
You're not seeing a different type of game than the first 2?
Well, bottom line is Connor Hellebuck's in net. I don't see him getting lit up. I think Ottinger is going to be ready to play. And I mean, just history has told us these teams play really tight games. I could see this being 1-1. I could see this being 2-2, going to OT or something like that. The fact, or even if it's 3-2, if there's an empty netter, we get the cushion of having the 6.5.
Yeah, so it's plus 518 with that game in there, which is still a great number for the partner parlay. Like,
yeah,
that would be Utah money line, Ducks money line, and under 6.5. What else are you thinking? What else?
Yeah, well, I'm just comparing. If we're going to take an under 6.5 in one of these two games, there is always the possibility that McKinnon and the Avalanche just go ham and put up 6 themselves. Yeah. I don't think we'll see either Winnipeg or Dallas do that. So the more I think about it, the more I lean to the 6.5. I mean, there's the under 6.5 in the Oiler-Islander game too. I guess you got a backup goalie going in. I mean, the Oilers haven't been generating a ton. The Islanders don't. It's funny enough that it's minus 112 for the Oiler-Islander under.
Yeah. I mean, that is a pretty well, it's minus 112 because that total set at 6.5, right? Like we moved the Jet Stars to I don't know. I just worry Oilers goaltending has not played well lately. And I know the Islanders don't have a ton of firepower, but the Oilers haven't been scoring goals. Like they've got I had the numbers somewhere else. I think they've only scored more than 3 goals twice in their last 10. Which could be the classic their due scenario here. I don't want that game anywhere near the parlay. I mean, they could win it 7-2. They could lose it 3-1. So just keep the Oilers and Islanders out of your mouth, Huss. Keep it out of your mouth. I think we might be overthinking it by not just going Stars and Jets under 6.5.
Let's do it. Do it. So here we are. This is the partner parlay for today. Utah money line. Minus 47. We're going to take the Ducks at home. The home dog, plus 131 against Nashville. And then moving the total to 6.5 for Winnipeg, Dallas, and taking the under at minus 169 gets us up to plus 518. With a boost, that'll be plus 570 or something like that. And we'll be let's go back to back.
Why not? To wrap the week.
Yesterday. The nice one yesterday. What was the number that we got on that one? Plus 467 on the winning ticket last night. I had a really good feeling about last night's partner parlay. Actually, I upped the unit size a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, I normally just do the same thing every single time, but I really like that one. So we got it done, and we will get that in. And let's see. Let's check out what the boys have for us in the combo cards today.
What do we have up there?
Friday night's all right for boosting. McDavid point. Oh, this is the Dusty special. A McDavid point and Luka over 28.5. Lakers versus the Denver Nuggets. That's the super boost tonight from minus 159 to even money.
Luka went off for 45 last night. The thing that would worry me about that is that I'm expecting the Lakers to get absolutely pumped tonight against Denver. They're 13.5 point dogs. I don't know if they run Luka in back-to-back games heavily enough to get the 28.5 that we would need.
I mean, if they're down by 25, what's the point? The guy gets hurt.
Last night they brought him back in. They were down by like 17, and they brought him back in with 7 minutes left. And even then, I was like, "What are you doing?" I think it's gonna be a runaway. I'm not even sure he'll play in the second half tonight. So, I mean, you're right. On a regular night, that would be a great play. I just don't think tonight's one of those nights for the Lakers.
Uchaz in the chat dropped his prediction for the Kyle Connor for the Jets. Under 6.5. Where is this? He's doing a bet builder. Under 6.5. Kyle Connor to score. And I think he took the Jets in there as well.
Yeah, Jets money line under 6.5. Connor anytime goal. He said he's not sure of the number, but he's going to be playing it.
I like it. Matt Hyman asking, Hush, you can't bet on the Jennings. I have not seen any Jennings.
God, I do love it. I do love a show that's asking for Jennings betting. I really do. I mean, shout out Matt Hyman.
Let's look at this. In the league, goals against. Well, the Jets are in pretty good. Now, they have played 2 more games, but they have the best goals against in the league by 13. Now, if you assume that Dallas and the Kings are going to put up 5 or 6, so they've got a really slight lead once you extrapolate the extra games. Jets won the Jennings last year. They'll try and do it again this year. Hellebuck, obviously, a lock for the Vezina Trophy right now. But hey, if you like Kyle Connor tonight to score, check out the Lamplighters. Draisaitl, Connor, McKinnon. Almost 10-1. I think I'm riding with the Lamplighters tonight.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty good number. I was looking at it too at 980 for Draisaitl, Connor, and McKinnon.
I'm seeing 992 right now.
Oh, geez. It was 980 the last time I reloaded Coolbet, which was like 5 minutes ago.
I've locked it in. I'm in. 992 on the Lamplighters.
Yeah, there it is.
Anything else we like? Here's points from the point tonight. Makar, Morrissey, and Evan Bouchard. Makar, I'm sure will get one. We've just been talking about these unders. I don't know how many goals are going to be in this other game. So I think I like the Lamplighter one better than I do the points from the point, even though the points from the point's only 359. Shot props. Connor over 2.5, McDavid over 2.5, Dylan Larkin over 2.5. That's plus 425.
Don't get me started on the McDavid over 2.5 because we had a parlay for last night's game. Draisaitl goal, got it. Bouchard point, got it. Kapanen, no points, got it. And we just needed McDavid 3 shots, and he finished with 2, and it would have been a plus 500. So that one sucked.
Well, do we think he bounces back with 2? Or
I can't even give you a read on that guy right now. I mean, but he should play a ton. And I haven't seen anything yet. It would be an optional skate this morning, obviously, because they played last night. But I sure got the sense that he was going to play McDavid and Draisaitl together tonight. So, I mean, at plus 425, that's not a bad idea for those 3 guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that. Now, Pi Day, it is, of course, March 14th. 314. Yeah. Now, I don't really totally understand.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jake, if Jake is in the chat, why are these 3 in the Pi Day parlay? Is that what you were wondering, Huss?
Oh, I know what it is.
Okay, wait, don't tell me. Let me. Pi Day. McKinnon over 3.5 shots. Shifley over on the points. And DeBrincat over 2.5 shots. I don't know. I don't know. What is it?
So we just said it's 314. So it's 3 shots for DeBrincat, 1 point for Shifley, 4 shots for
I definitely
McKinnon.
should have figured that out.
We've cracked the code.
Yeah.
We've cracked the code.
God, I wonder how long I would have stood there and stared at that before finally figuring it out.
Look at this, Jake. How about Jake? Just Evdog and Jake, just ready to go for the lock shop. The best in the biz. We're already up plus 596, folks. Ooh. Utah Ducks in the under in the Jets. Let's lock that in before that number changes as well. And let's go back to back with a couple of partner parlays to end the week. They do have, for those of you, and again, I am so out of the loop on the hoops. 3 for 3. Max Strus over 2.5 3-pointers. Jalen Green over 2.5 3-pointers. Devin Booker over 2.5 3-pointers. That one is plus 512. And for those of you Lax Bros out there, shout out to P. Greggy. There's a Warriors welcome. Vancouver Warriors and Toronto Rock playing tonight. I wonder if Patty will be on the call for that. I watch way more lacrosse than I normally do because I always love the dulcet tones of our good friend Pat Gregoire dropping it on the weekends on TSN, and I'm sure he'll be back here.
I was looking at the. Oh, go ahead. Let's finish what you're gonna say there.
I was just a quick side. I see Akshay putting on 18 right now for birdie. If he can sink this, he will tie the chef Minwoo Lee at 11 under par for today's round, or through 36. Rory is in at 9 under. Morikawa is in at 9 under. Tommy Fleetwood, Jake Knapp at 7. Billy Ho amongst the people at 6 under.
I was just looking in the NBA because the Cavs are looking to make it 16 wins in a row tonight. And the Cavaliers, who've won 15 in a row for the second time this season and are currently on the year 55-10, 30-4 at home, 25-6 on the road, point differential of 11.3, second to only SGA's OKC Thunder. The Cavs are minus 133 on the road tonight against the second place team in the West, the Memphis Grizzlies, to keep the streak alive at 16. That's a tough test. Tough test. Mind you, Memphis is only 5-5 in their last 10, but they've won 4 in a row, so they've been playing well lately. But if you want a piece of the Cavs trying to make it 16 in a row, you can get them at minus 133. They're a 1.5 point favorite at minus 111. You know what I wouldn't mind? I wouldn't mind some futures in the NBA on SGA and Jokic MVP. I like to know where that's at right now.
The futures aren't up right now. The NBA futures aren't up right now. I was actually looking. I was interested to see. I was looking at odds earlier, and like the Cavs were not like the Cavs and OKC Thunder don't really get the respect that their records would suggest that they do. You know, smaller markets, they don't have as many fans. ESPN's just talking about the Lakers and Golden State every day. And I think that sometimes plays into it right now. So we'll have to take I would like to get in on some NBA futures just so I've got a real rooting interest through the rest of the year. But yes, as you mentioned, the Nuggets 13.5 point favorites. They're minus 909 on the money line tonight against the Lakers. How's the Lakers situation though as far as playoffs? They're still, I mean,
they're in fourth place right now, but LeBron's going to probably miss another 4 or 5 games. They've lost 3 in a row, 2 since he left. Houston is tied with them in 5th. Golden State is 13-1 since they got Jimmy Butler. They've won 6 in a row. I think the Lakers will probably avoid the play-in at least and be one of the top 6 teams, but that's if LeBron can get back. Like last night, they were missing LeBron, who starts for them at the 3. They were missing Rui Hachimura, who starts for them at the 4. And they were missing Jackson Hayes, who starts for them at the 5. So they were missing 3 starters last night, which is why like Luka had to go off for 45. Austin Reeves almost had 30. Nobody else contributed anything. It was basically the equivalent of the Oilers' bottom 6, and they just got spanked by the Bucks. So...
Well, as I said, we'll be locking in more on basketball as we go forward. We'll get into.
We always do. We usually get into that little playoff window. You pick a team that you're going to run with, and it's always fun.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, my team last year was the Nuggets, and we know what happened to them against the T-Wolves. But we will be back. We'll get in on some futures then, of course, come playoffs time. It's always fun to bet those series. I do have one other pick today.
Okay.
A pick that is a little bit off the board. We haven't talked a lot of women's tennis this year.
Oh, wow. How about this?
I did a little deep dive on Indian Wells last night, was going through some of the results, and I think we are seeing the ascension of a young superstar right before our eyes. Mira Andreeva, 9th seed, going up against Iga Swiatek, who's been one of the top 2 players on the planet for the better part of the last 3 or 4 years. Now, this number last night, when I was looking at it, was plus 130. I'm pulling it up right now, and the Indian Wells number has moved has moved to plus 152. Now, again, we're picking an underdog. We're getting plus money, an even better number than before. Like, I understand people just thinking it's going to be Sabalenka and Swiatek, but man, I went through the highlights of her last couple matches. Like, I really dug into it. She is just on an absolute heater, and this girl has a level of confidence, I think, that you need to have when playing one of these top players in the world. So if you're looking for a fun non-hockey hoops golf wager for tonight, 6:00 Central Time, this game gets going. And maybe later on, depending on exactly. I mean, you know how tennis is. They give you a time. But you can get this now at plus 152. Mira Andreeva over Iga Swiatek. I'm already in on it. And tournament winner, by the way, 4-1 for her. I'm just going to focus on this quarterfinal tonight. But the total now they're down to the final four is Sabalenka plus 150, Swiatek plus 175, Andreeva 4-1, and Madison Keys, who, if I'm not mistaken, did win the Aussie Open, still playing quite well. She is at 6-1. But my pick tonight, Mira Andreeva, you can get it plus 152, WTA Indian Wells under the tennis section.
You know, if we're going to go worldwide of betting here for a second, Lando Norris plus 200 to win the first F1 race of the season. It returns. It's going to be an interesting year. We're going to get a ton of value here this year because Max is not expected to separate himself from the pack, and they haven't even got to qualifying yet. Lando looked excellent yesterday, though. They'll be doing final practice here coming up and then qualifying later on.
This is the Australian?
This is the Australian Grand Prix. Lando right now at 2-1. He is the favorite, so it's a little chalky, but it's plus 200. And I think he's going to start the season with a bang for McLaren. So hop on that one if you want.
So, okay, explain this to me. So Lando's 2-1, Leclerc's 3-1. Why is Verstappen that wins every race plus 425?
Different cars this year. It's been changed a little bit. Red Bull has not looked as good as they have in previous years. And both McLaren and Ferrari took huge steps ahead. Now, with that being said, I mean, if Max, if all of a sudden Red Bull looks better than they have so far through like testing and stuff, then you're not going to get better value on Max Verstappen than plus 425. But even through the first few rounds of practice here, you know, it just doesn't look the same as last year. So that's why you see Max in that spot right now.
What time is this race?
Gager, what? Gager, what time's the race? 10 o'clock tomorrow.
PM?
PM.
So a Saturday night race.
Saturday night,
yeah,
10 p.m.
That makes sense. And I guess the qualifying is going tonight at 8:30.
It's going to be tonight, yeah.
What about qualifying winner? You think should Lando be on the pole? Does he have the best car? Like the Verstappen qualifying number is 10-1. Okay, so that tells us what we need to know. Everyone knows Max, probably the best driver. But when you look at qualifying, he's at 10-1. They obviously think that his car is at a disadvantage.
Yeah, like if you look at the two, like if you look at Lando Norris plus 155 and then Piastri 4-1, those are the two McLaren drivers. So you're looking at McLaren probably having the best car to start the year. Then Charles Leclerc at plus 200, and then Lewis, who's now with Ferrari, much further down at 14-1, as he's probably just starting to get a feel for the car. So qualifying, I mean, Lando's probably the play there too, but it's going to be fun this year because it should be much more open than we've seen through those few years of dominance for Max, which
I'll get into it more.
To. Yeah.
If there's the possibility of multiple guys winning these races,
yeah,
I'll pay more attention to it.
Well, there will be this year, I think. It's going to be a really good year. So, all right, what's coming up in WST, Huss?
Man, big game feeling the peg tonight. We're all over this Dallas game. We're going to have Brandon Rowicki on, Sean Shapiro in Dallas. Actually, one of the Wags is going to come on. Megan Rogers, Gabe Velarde's girlfriend's jumping on with us because the Wags are doing lucky pucks at the game tonight with some great prizes. I'm going to find out how the operation is going on the playoff jackets that the girls make. So anyways, that'll be fun. A full recap of NFL free agency with Hacksaw, and then we'll see you lock shoppers and many ESTers in for the marble race just after 3 p.m. Winnipeg time on WST. Are you here on Monday or are you gone?
I'm here Monday. I fly out early Tuesday, so I will be here on Monday. All right, that's going to do it for the Lock Shop today. Oil Stream coming up in about 3 minutes right here on EST. Thank you very much for joining us today. Best of luck tonight, and we'll talk to you on Monday in the Lock Shop.